Hi, this is John from Moonwise Herbs. Tonight we're processing acorns. We're going to turn this into this. Alright? We're making acorn flour. So a great chapter on acorns and eating acorns would be in the book Nature's Garden by Sam Thayer. And so we've taken some tips from there. We purchased a Dave-built nutcracker. We have these giant acorns from Kansas when we were down there, and we'll load them in the hopper. And the Dave-built nutcracker has these washers here, and so if you take washers out or add them in, it changes the size of the cavity when we crack the nuts. So smaller nuts would be, you would put more washers in. Larger nuts, you take more washers out. And so we can turn both ways with this. And what we have in here now, just got to do some sorting. We've got clean, cracked acorns here. Throw them in the bucket with the other ones. And now, what I'll do is I'll grab this bucket and we'll go over here to the Vitamix blender. And let's see what Linda does with the blender.
I'm going to take some nuts and put them in the Vitamix. A couple handfuls. You don't want to fill it too full because it can get kind of stressed if you put too many in there. But probably a little more than a quarter full will work. And then I'm going to put some water in here, some filtered water. And once we have the water in here, then we'll pulverize it and make basically an acorn gruel. Probably enough water. The lid on, put my plunger in there, set this up. And if you've never used a Vitamix, this is the perfect tool for this because the Vitamix can handle some stress and it'll turn off if it overheats on its own so you don't burn the motor out. But I always start on the lowest setting and then turn it on. So you can see I increased a little bit at a time, and now I've got a mash, and I'm going to take this mash and we're going to take it over here to this setup that John put together, and he's taken a tote. Do you want to go over to the tote? And put a cheesecloth, a really tight weave cheesecloth on the tote with a giant rubber band and some hooks. And then I'm going to pour this into here. And this allows us to leach the acorns. The acorns need to be leached because they are high in tannins and they're bitter. And so leaching them actually gets the tannins out and makes them less bitter. So we're going to fill this with acorn mash. And once we have a lot of acorn mash, then we can fill it with water and let it leach out. And this is a really nice way of doing it because it only takes a couple hours for this to leach out. So we're going to make a bunch of blenders full of mash and fill this up, and we'll show that to you when it's full. Okay, so we ground the acorns in our Vitamix blender, and we're turning them into flour is our goal. And so we've ground the acorns, and now we've put them in our cheesecloth here in our setup where we can leach a lot of the ground acorns at the same time. And so I'm going to take some hot water, and I'm going to spray them down. And then we'll let this sit and drain. And The ground acorns create a lot of surface area for the water to release the tannins. If you leave the acorns whole, it's really hard for the water to get into the acorn and actually release the tannins. So when you grind it like this, it goes a lot faster. And so it should probably take 3 hours maybe for this to leach out the tannins. And the way that you tell that you've leached out the tannins is in the beginning, taste it and keep tasting it along the way until it doesn't taste bitter anymore or it doesn't dry out your mouth. The tannins are astringing and they'll dry out your mouth. And so we can also bake with this wet when it's finished, or we can put it in the dehydrator and we can dry it and we can store it for later use. And so we'll make muffins and we'll make a roasted acorn beverage. We can make crackers and pie crusts and all kinds of things. I've made acorn soup in the past. And so there's many, many possibilities for using acorn flour in your life.
Pablo would rather be an acorn. I'd rather be an acorn than rule the universe, from holding doors to doing chores. I'll put the others first. He'd rather do his very best than do his very worst. I'd rather be an acorn than rule the universe. But you could have had the crystal lamp, all its awesome power. But I don't want it anymore. I'd rather smell a flower. He'd rather be an acorn than rule the universe. But being lawful sounds so awful. It's really not the worst. I've learned that helping others is a blessing, not a curse.